What's that?
It's perfect. You want to be that guy?
What up, everybody? Welcome to Decentralized TV. My name is Brad. That is Jaime. We got Tampa over. I never get this right. She's over there. She's over there. Out the window. She's over there. But good morning, guys. It is October 4th, 2022. It is 9 a.m. And you know where you're supposed to be. It's here on DCTV. The futures right now are up pretty substantially. I'm looking at the S&P futures up 52 points. The Dow's up 346, which is actually down a little bit from its peak. It was up over 400 points this morning. The NASDAQ is up almost 2%. Looking at Bitcoin right now, it is also jumping. It is up 714 points, or what's good for 3.75% at $19,958 per Bitcoin. You know what the other big story is? It is oil. California is now back up to $6.41 per gallon of gas. I'm looking at crude oil right now. It's at $85, up almost 2%. We have the OPEC meeting today, so that's going to be interesting to watch. Jaime and Tamp, I'm going to take a breath now. What's going on?
Thanks, Brad.
$6 a gallon. Are you kidding me?
It's financial harakiri. I mean, $6
$6.41.
Jesus.
The average in California. Why does anybody live in California anymore? I mean, honestly.
$6.41. It would cost me $180 to fill up my truck. Kidding me? Yeah, Brad almost choked on his coffee.
Christ.
What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, housing, like everything's unaffordable out there. How do you even make a living?
I don't know. Like, I'm in Texas, and this is why I sold my land. I literally had undeveloped land in Texas that was getting taxed so high that I just had to dump it. Now what? Now I got to do the same with my truck? What do you want me to do? Buy a Prius? Get electric? Come on, man. What is going on?
Yeah, so I can pay a higher electric bill. I mean,
right.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Right.
I'm telling you, this is like cancer. If you protect yourself from one form of cancer, you're just going to get a different kind. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
sounds good.
What I've been telling people here and on Own the Chaos. Go buy yourself some energy stocks to offset some of these energy costs.
That is true. They pay you back for that investment.
Yeah, because I mean they're on fire right now. Energy stocks yesterday were on absolute fire. Pioneer Natural Resources, you guys have heard me talk about that on this show. That was up 6% yesterday.
Yeah,
just in one day.
You know,
is the Nord pipeline still leaking? Is that still a thing?
It's not a leak, but it's not functioning.
It's shut down.
So it doesn't look like Godzilla is emerging from the middle of the ocean anymore?
No.
I was waiting for a while, though.
Yeah.
You know what? I wonder if anybody knows, maybe someone in the chat, is there any difference, I guess, between actual crude oil versus natural gas leaking into the ocean? Is one far worse than the other for the ecosystem, or are they both just
bad?
Just both terrible?
Yeah,
it deprives everything around there of oxygen because of the gas that's being absorbed into the sea.
Good gosh.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. And no, it didn't stop leaking. It's just shut down, which is another huge signal of buy more energy stocks because it's about to fly. It's about to get ugly.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, let me just check in on some of the stuff that's gapping up here. So,
while you're checking on that, Brad, like, we talk like this all day and it gets in your head whether you want to believe it or not. But I was talking to Christina this morning. I was like, we're not putting on the heater tonight. Even it's cold where I am right now in Pennsylvania. It's like 45 degrees. I'm like, we're not putting on the heat. Just bring the little heater into the room. We'll just heat this one room out, freaking out. Like, bills are going to be terrible this year. I don't want to use gas.
I know, and yet you're replacing one energy source for the
I know.
other.
So let me plug something in, but still, just heat this one room and keep the central air way down.
Right.
Good theory. And it sucks when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, shit, it's cold. My God, why is it so cold in the house?
The good news is we have each other to keep ourselves warm.
Yeah, I'm like, it's great when you're cuddled up in bed, but this is terrible once we get out.
Yeah. So
that's a gap to me.
Holy shit. So Marathon was up 6% on Monday. It was up 10.5% yesterday. And it's up another 3.5% this morning. You look at Pioneer Natural Resources, it's kind of very similar. That was up 7% yesterday, now up nearly another 3% today. ExxonMobil also was up 5.25% yesterday, up another 2% today. So we go look at some of the shoot. the exploratory
Yes.
companies such as natural gas. Halliburton's was up 7% yesterday, up another 2.5% today. So this is the trend, and I've been saying it all summer. The energy stocks were so depressed all summer because Biden saved the day. But now that the SPR is no longer there to help us, we're no longer sucking on the SPR teat. Things are going right back up, and it's no surprise to me.
And not to replenish the SPR teat, it's
Well,
going to be quite expensive to put it back in there.
Correct. It's a
after we
deflated teat.
consumed it.
It's a
Oh, no one wants that.
it's a
No one
pancake.
wants.
Nobody wants
No.
pancake teats.
No one wants that.
But you use a petroleum product to reinflate it, silicone.
Right? Yeah, right. That's right.
Guys, it's just out of control here.
It is. It is. It's not going to stop. I don't think that part of it's going to stop. I do think that we could potentially see a rally after elections, that sort of thing. I think we could see a nice little pop. This, in my opinion, the rally and the overall market's probably not going to last very long. It's not every day that you see the S&P 500 go up 2.6%, and that's what we saw yesterday. When we're in good conditions, right? And I think this is more or less probably a dead cat bounce. I'm not really buying into this rally just yet. We have to wait and see. I think one of the big reasons we're seeing this rally is because more investors are starting to buy into the fact that perhaps the Fed will pivot on rising rates, that they won't raise another 75 basis points. I'm still not buying it until I see it. So I'm not going to speculate until that actually happens. If people get lucky and decide to buy the dip here or buying into this rally, and the Fed does end up pivoting, obviously it's going to work out for you, but I'm just not sold that they're going to do that just yet.
You notice the outside pressure that they're clamoring for the Fed to stop that.
I mean, that's Credit Suisse and Citibank that we talked about yesterday, right?
Absolutely. And also United Nations getting involved. Like, guys, don't raise it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, how do they not though? I mean, this is a thing. Is this just a different form of a bailout? Like, okay, so we're not just going to print more money to hand a failing business their get out of jail free card. Instead, we will just stop rising our rates when we need to do it to get that to get a hold of any of this. We're just going to stop rising rates for a while so that these banks can get back underneath themselves. And then what, we'll do it again afterwards? I mean, is this just not a different mask on the same pig?
That's the really concerning part, Tam. Really. I mean, if you think about it, why is everyone outside the US saying stop raising rates? Because if you think about it, everyone outside who has enough capital to do so are converting to dollars. That's what creates the strong dollar, to send it to the US for interest rates. To earn it, just park it there and just go for it. So it's creating this tide of dollars coming to the US, exacerbating the local fiat problems globally. And that's where you see these type of requests coming in, like stop raising it, because it's going to get to the point where this just cannot self-sustain much further. On top of that, you have these announcements of, these large institutions now worried about any liquidity issues, where you see the rates, overnight rates jumping per intrabank.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of writing on the wall, guys, in terms of what's coming, and what's coming very fast.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I hadn't even planned on talking about that first thing right out of the gate, but I'm here for it.
Let's go for it.
We're all here for
let's
it.
get started with our what the fuck moment of the morning. So North Korea launches missile again over Japan this time, but it was so close, in fact, that the Japanese government told everybody to take cover. This was
Like
after
that matters.
Yeah. This was after Vice President Harris decided to mistakenly tout their alliance to North Korea. We all knew that she meant South Korea, but that's neither here nor there. They fired a ballistic missile over Japan Tuesday, prompting Tokyo to issue a warning to residents to take cover. The missile was launched from North Korea's coast and was reported by South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff and the Japanese Coast Guard. The projectile was believed to have landed in the Pacific Ocean. The Japanese Prime Minister's office issued alert to residents in northeastern regions to evacuate buildings nearby what was reportedly the first such alert in 5 years. We talked the last time I remember something like this happening that prompted people to take cover was when it was it going towards Hawaii or something like that, or was it like a false? That was like a false thing.
Yeah, the one in Hawaii was.
But there was something similar 5 years in Japan. I was actually surprised to see the futures were up this morning because I thought this would have been an event that would have gotten investors nervous. Yet it hasn't.
Credit Suisse is another event that
Right.
should have gotten investors nervous.
You would think.
And it hasn't.
Yeah.
Well, my God, guys, how many squeezes can an investor have before they're just simply out of damn money to deploy? I mean, how many times? It always amazes me where people are like, oh, I'm deploying more capital here. I'm deploying more capital here. I'm like, how do you still have any left? I mean,
they're turning it and giving it to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, but
paying for it.
Well, so the point of me bringing this up was, first of all, what the fuck? And then second of all, how will this impact? Is anybody nervous about this, or is this just North Korea continuing to shoot pea shooters? At what point are we going to have to take North Korea seriously when it comes to this shit? We're all stuck, right? Because I think everybody who with a half a brain would love to just go to North Korea and be like, hey, knock it the fuck off. But we can't because, China, and it's going to come to a head at some point. Is this something we worry about in the near term or no?
Just add it to the damn list. I mean, at this point, what is more important? You have North Korea threatening, but you have Russia actually moving into the Ukraine, and whether or not that's valid is not the point, because that just adds more shit to the sauce. Like, we don't even know if that's legit or propaganda. I mean, you have a dollar or fiat system that's collapsing, a world economic collapse on the brink right now. You have pipelines busting going into our marine life, which according to Lord Fenrir is even worse than actual raw crude oil. What do we want to focus on? I mean, I almost think this is like the government's intentionality at this point is like throw so much shit at the population that no one knows what's going on. You can't assign blame because everything is up in the air and chaotic. Gas is $6 a gallon. We can't afford corn and bell peppers anymore. I mean, what is most important right now? Because I don't know. I don't know.
Bell peppers are the most important.
I mean, what the shit? Like, I went to the grocery store last night and I literally didn't buy my spinach because I'm like, I refuse to pay $3 for a bag of spinach. I'm not doing it. So it's just like, what is the most important? Is North Korea threatening, shooting a missile over Japan? Is that the most important thing on the table right now? I would say no. I mean, it's not good. I agree. It's a what the fuck, but is it the most important thing?
They're wagging the dog, Tam.
Yeah.
They're wagging the dog, trying to, hey, it's something shiny over here. Let's go.
I mean, seriously, it's defer, throw so much stuff out there that there's no chance of assigning blame. I mean, it's just like a mob mentality thing. Like, there's so much going on. Who's really at fault?
Absolutely.
Speaking of propaganda, I gotta show this. Look at that. Did you guys see this? So this is I don't know. I guess it's like
make it big, Brad. Oh, sorry, that sounds bad. But go click on the bottom right.
With that one, Tam.
Well, hello then.
There you go.
So this was I think it was a Ukrainian media talking about the dead bodies in Ukraine, and this is also a what the fuck moment.
This is the real one.
I'm not even gonna explain anymore. We're just gonna watch it and react.
All these dead bodies. This is rough to look at, guys. Dang, this sucks. Oh, damn. This sucker's reporting the whole time in a mask. Is this old?
I mean, what the?
They better
fuck?
tie that close down.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! That guy, first of all, wearing a mask, moving around. Jesus,
is the dead body wearing a mask?
What was this? I don't even know where this came from.
It's got to be a meme.
This has got to be COVID reporting from.
Is it even real? I can't even fathom that that's something that was.
Of course, it's real. Like it's probably all the Occupy who the hell ever people acting like things are big deals.
That's fair. All right, we're gonna get into some other stuff. crypto related, of course, but I needed to take a sidestep on, first of all, that. And then some breaking news. We have breaking news.
Life changing over here.
Yes.
What happened?
Apple iPhone and other devices may be forced to use a common charger after the EU lawmakers approve the rule.
Good. Finally,
Suck it.
something that makes sense.
Yeah, we're all gonna have the same goddamn charger. Well, we won't, but Europeans will, and I feel like it should trickle over. Hopefully, it will. But this is actually something that isn't old news, but it isn't all that new either. So, European lawmakers approved a new law that would require electronic devices to use a common charger. This isn't just for iPhones. This is for everything across the board. European Parliament approved the rule, which, if passed, will mean that all mobile phones, tablets, and cameras sold in the European Union must be equipped with a USB Type-C charging port by the end of 2024. Now, the one question that I have about this is, if Apple's going to be forced to do this in Europe, are there going to be enough Americans to raise a bunch of shit about this so that Apple will be forced to do it here in the U.S. too?
Didn't they stop supplying power chargers on the new devices?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't own Apple products.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
they did.
even more insult to injury. But yeah, so you're gonna buy a device that you're mandating we have to use a particular charger, but you're not even gonna give said charger when you buy $1,000 plus phone. Where is Don? He would be going ballistic on this.
I know. Why do people do this shit? Or why does Apple do this shit? I remember I've always been an Android user. I have had friends with Apple iPhones and stuff like that. But I remember a time when you couldn't charge your phone and listen with your headphones at the same time. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah,
that was a thing?
Badly.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's forcing adoption or forcing their users into certain rails for their income. But standardization, I think, should be key. Like, I agree in terms of every device out there should use one standard.
That'll be great.
Just like the 3-prong is, for the electrical side, it should be for the devices themselves. So you can go in and charge.
You're right, Jaime, but we have wireless charging now. So why do we need to take up any space in the phone to add a piece of hardware for charging when just take it all away and mandate the standardization being wireless charging? It's what it's all moving to anyways.
Do you have a wireless charger in your car?
No, but Greg does. But that's a good point.
Really?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. But you could plug in your wireless charging base in your car and then set your wireless phone down on it. So my point is, I prefer to not use up space in the phone itself for like hardware to charge a phone. I'd rather, take that away from a big phone, or do something else. Just make it to where there's no input at all.
He said, has the same law Apple got around. It's the same law Apple got around it by issuing the USB end that'll work on any charging block.
Yeah, and they stopped supplying the block.
Yeah.
So they only give you half of it. So they might as well not give you any of it.
No, well said, Just Bossy. Well said.
Okay. So moving back into crypto, Barron's put out an article this morning on Bitcoin in particular, basically, and I'll share this one with you guys, just saying that Bitcoin prices are rising, why crypto hodlers shouldn't get too excited. And we've talked about this a little bit too, but I wanted to kind of just kind of hammer this home with this particular article. They're quoted as saying Bitcoin is slightly higher as a risky assets rally following a global collection of weakening manufacturing data that supports the idea that central banks won't have to remain as aggressive with the tightening of monetary policy. And this will be good for Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is poised to remain stuck in a consolidation pattern. Calls for a Fed pivot or premature, and that should put a cap on how risky assets rebound here. Bitcoin obviously being a risky asset. I'll bring up this chart for you, Jaime, so you can look at the your trusty trading view charts here, and we can talk about this a little bit. But to me, what are your thoughts on this? Bitcoin just popped up over 20K. If the Fed does, make a little bit of a pivot and lightens up on interest rate hikes, does Bitcoin go the fuck off, and are we looking at a bottom here?
So that's a very good point. One is fundamentals, the other one is charts.
Yeah.
It's self-technical. In the case of the charts themselves, removing all news, everything else, what I'm looking at this very moment is this 50 monthly moving average, which is sitting at 22,400 more or less. The only way I turn bullish is if we close above this at the end of October or October and test it as support. At that point, I'd say, okay, we did hit the bottom. We're ready to go. If we just tap it as resistance, meaning we do not cross, but instead it just holds there, we're pretty much confirming it as resistance. And the next stage would be either 17,200 or 13,888. Like you said, as a contrarian yesterday, the big question is, if everyone's seeing this as the bottom because everyone's looking at it, will we continue moving forward? Well, I always look for confirmation. My confirmation is we're good to go if we close above the 50 moving average and test it as support, or watch out for further downside if we hit that top and then it holds below. Then we confirmed it as resistance, and we should come down to the next large level or anywhere in between.
If you
yes,
could
ma'am.
explain, because I hear people say this a lot.
Mhm.
You're like, watch it on the close. Watch what we do if we hit this
Yes.
resistance or whatever. Where do people go to do that? Where do I go to TradingView and just pull up a Bitcoin chart and then I literally just watch the trades unfold? Do I need to be in the monthly as well, since that's what you're talking in? Like, explain to me, if I wanted to watch live something bounce or not bounce, break a resistance, bounce a resistance, whatever, where do I go to watch that live once we sign off?
Two things. One, we actually have a channel on Twitch with all these charts rolling with music, which you can set it playing in the background, which I will post here very shortly as soon as I'm done this. Now, where do I look at Bitcoin? TradingView has free accounts. So you can actually go test it without having to pay for it, or any other charting software out there. You use Webull, right?
Yes, correct.
So there's you have so many samples, and what you can do is, why did I choose? You can map it, and then what you can set, looking at this screen, is the 21 moving average, which is that yellow one you see up here. And 21 moving average literally means it took 21 months to paint that moving average. Here's the 50 moving average, and this is the 89 down here below. The 50, what you would do is go into any of your trading, even TD Ameritrade. I think you're able to plot Bitcoin also. Just add those three moving averages, the 21, the 50, and the 89. And when does this close? Of course, at the end of the month, October 31st at midnight UTC, which is around 7 p.m. Eastern, is where we would get the confirmation of when this closes. This is either a ceiling or a floor. Currently, it's a ceiling. If we break through the ceiling, it now becomes a floor of support. If we do not break through at the end of the month and it just stays below this, it is a true ceiling. Now we have to look for our next floor, is the logic behind this. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if I am looking at the monthly, then the close is the last day of the month at midnight for Bitcoin and crypto. If I'm looking at the daily, is the close at midnight every weekday and weekend, just every day?
Yes. So if we go to the daily itself, then we're actually looking at every day. But
and that's a midnight close. So if I'm watching this live at home on my computer, I have TradingView or something else open, I pull up the Bitcoin chart, and at midnight, I'm looking to see what the price is for the daily chart.
Midnight Universal Time, which is 7 p.m. Eastern. You can convert Central or wherever you live, but midnight Universal Time, which is UK, literally. Now,
how does the UK get to be Universal Time?
Because of Greenwich.
Yes, they're the ones that began this whole time zone
Good
thing.
for them. Good job, UK.
Conquerors, guys.
I had no idea.
So if you notice, it's on I don't use that in crypto, and in Bitcoin, I tend not to use the daily, because look at this. I mean, you get jerked around everywhere and constantly you're crossing these medians. But if you move up in time frames up to the monthly, for example, it is very hard to cheat or whipsaw at these levels because it takes so much capital to fake it out
for a whole month.
For a whole month,
right?
Like a whole month's worth of transactions.
Not just a month of trading days though either, like a whole month.
Correct.
Because it's trading 24/7.
Absolutely. So I tend to rely. That's why I always use. I did day trading in the past. It ate my lunch because you get whipsawed everywhere.
Yeah.
In crypto, you should go to the high time frames because those are harder to cheat. You just have to be more patient about it. But trust me, you will sleep better now that you're not constantly watching. You just set your alarms where you want them and act accordingly to what the price action does. Keep in mind, there's always black swan events, just like this COVID breakdown we saw here. Look, it crossed below the 50, almost to the 89, and stopped right here in a single month.
Right.
And then came back up and continued its rally north. So black swan events are the exception to this rule of following the monthly charts.
Excellent. So is it just day traders and people that really know what they're doing that want to look at the minute charts or the 4-hour charts? Like, why would you even look at those?
Yeah, they live fast and dangerously. And everyone has their passions. And I know day traders that are successful, but they live in front of that chart and with their zones.
I was going to say, yeah, they're glued to the screen.
Yep. Yeah, and it'll wear you down. I promise you that. And especially if you have family, kids, everything else in life, it's like day trading is not for the.
Then you get fat because then you're not moving anywhere.
That's right.
Fair.
Kind of like your boy. Although I'm not day trading. I'm just sitting in front of a computer all day.
We're just busy now. We're busy fat. Is that a thing? So busy I can't leave my desk.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that was a fantastic breakdown. I appreciate the explanation, Jaime. Guys, if you like that, make sure you hit the thumbs up. We certainly appreciate it. And also make sure that you check out our Discord as well. We'd love to have you guys in there. It's absolutely free to join. The link is attached to this chat in the live stream, so make sure you're checking that out. It is pinned to the top there. We'd love to have you guys. Also, we didn't even talk about our intro today. We didn't talk about our intro at all. We had a 5-minute intro, countdown. I actually put a poll out on it. 10 of you voted so far. Some of you said, or 70% said fire. The other 3%, 3 of you, can go kick rocks. No, I'm just kidding.
We don't want your opinion.
We're
your support.
But yeah, anyways, Lord Fenrir says we're not boring. Yeah, he day trades as well. He's actually very good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But he does a little bit of everything too.
Yeah. And tell us, Lord, how do you that sounded pretty. Lord, please tell us.
He'll appreciate that.
Yeah,
he's not going to let that one go.
Yeah, he couldn't let go of Viking. You can imagine, Lord. So, Lord, how do you manage the day trading aspect? Like, how do you disconnect? And do you have family? We'd love to hear from those tips. And if you drop it in on Discord, we can also relay it to our community too. So we all learn from it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. The banking industry's answer to Venmo has a growing fraud problem. This was a article that Tampa put up. I actually haven't had a chance to read it. So Tampa, why don't you go ahead and let us know a little bit about what's going on in this article and why Elizabeth Warren is on the front of this thing.
Well, here we go again. Because in the past few weeks, we've brought up umpteen bazillion different articles about how whether it's regulators or anti-crypto people talking about you shouldn't get into cryptocurrency because there's fraud everywhere and there's all these hundreds of millions of dollars and hacks. And
time out. I know that I'm ruining your vibe.
Yeah.
Is Elizabeth Warren worried about getting roofied here?
She's got napkins over her water.
Over her water.
That's
and she's like indoors. It's not like you're outdoors, right? And you're worried about bugs getting in or something like that. Is she seriously worried about getting roofied?
She's worried about the bullshit that she's spewing getting in her water is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. I didn't even see that. Is that something rich, fancy people do? Is they just put napkins over their glasses?
I have no idea.
So returning
Very.
to your thoughts, Tam.
Yes. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
I
No,
just had
you're
to
good.
stop.
Just
I had to stop. I was like, what is going on here?
It
blow
concerns.
blow the article up for our readers. But basically, she and everybody else is specifically calling out different altcoins, Bitcoin itself. It's rampant with fraud, la la la. And then here we go. My rebuttal to that every single time was nothing is as fraud rot as the US dollar. So, I mean, I don't know what she's doing pointing fingers when the US dollar is the most used fiat currency for fraud in the world, but okay, in your house of cards. And then here we go. Now she's saying that the banking industry's solution for peer-to-peer transactions, which is Zelle. A lot of people use Zelle because it goes straight from my bank, instant payment to somebody else. That's what crypto is, but you're still paying them for it. Okay. All of a sudden now Zelle is rot full of fraud itself. Are we? So again, just the pot calling the kettle black. There was 5 billion transactions on Zelle since its launch in 2017. $1.5 trillion has gone through Zelle since that time. 1,700 different banks and credit unions that use that Zelle app on their platforms for peer-to-peer. And they're saying 99.9% of payments were sent without report or fraud, according to Zelle. Here comes Warren, though, spewing that there were almost 200,000 cases of fraud across the Zelle platform, totaling almost $214 million. 3,500 cases where the banks reimbursed the customers. 47% of the reimbursed case, it's not clear that funds have been taken out, or it was clear that funds have been taken out of customers' accounts without authorization, and $90 billion in scam and fraud claims in 2020 for the 4 banks that shared data. So, I mean, what are we doing here? Again, it's just every single day we bring things up that it's people in charge, whether you want to call it the president, the US, the deep state, the banking industry, whatever you want to term the powers that be. They're constantly throwing shade at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole. They will point out all these bad things about it, whether it's energy, whether it's fraud, whether it's a number of different things. And here they are reporting the exact same things. I don't know what you want me to do. At some point, you can either continue to play the games of the fiat world and the problems with our economy and our problems with money. You can continue to play in that because you can tell yourself, well, I have to buy food. I have to live and be able to pay this, that, and the other. I mean, and I understand to a point, or you can put your money somewhere where that sort of manipulation and bad actor, like the bad actor stuff, is taken away. And it's taken away because it's used by computers instead, which are not, they're not victims to, to handouts and under the table deals and all these other things. Right. So, I mean, we're just going to continue to produce and present the evidence of you're throwing rocks in a glass house. You're calling Bitcoin and all these other crypto scams and frauds, yet you're going to release a report and shout from the rooftops that Zelle is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say,
And if we back up and look at this, like they're writing in between the lines, the banks themselves are the ones that encourage Zelle for me to use Zelle instead of ACH or any other means of transferring. And now, but if you read between the lines here, there are no controls or oversight enough from the government's standpoint. And if we eliminate Zelle or Venmo from the market, who's left doing all this? It's the banks again.
Yeah.
I mean, who wins here? It's the banks again. And it locks down the ease of transfer between peer-to-peer and tax-paying citizens too. The fraud aspect of it, of course, you just have to do your research before you start sending money or pulling money. There's a certain responsibility that comes to your own store of value, and not having to rush out somewhere to get saved again. So guys, they're about to take our shit again. Our other option of sending money, is what's
just
coming.
flip-flopping. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what does this mean? It just means start doing your research. Just open up an article, open up a book. You're here already, which is a great start to learning more about crypto, more about why it is such a movement, and more about why so many people in power want this thing shut down. There is a reason why. There is extreme legitimacy in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Does it mean it's ready for mass adoption and usability and all that? No, we're still super early in that regard, but that doesn't mean it's going anywhere. And that doesn't mean that you won't be using it in the future. In fact, we're building tools right now to help you be able to use cryptocurrency when you are ready. We're working on all that stuff actively right now, but we need everybody's help in just educating yourself, educating your friends and family. Why are certain things solid and others aren't? What is the difference between proof of work and proof of stake? It's important that you get to know all this stuff because it is an inevitable part of your future. And these politicians flip-flopping, and throwing rocks in a glass house is just evidence of the inevitable in my position. You cannot trust what they are in charge of. So take a hold of your own sovereignty, take a hold of your own wealth, take a hold of your own knowledge base, and just start looking into whatever it is in the cryptoverse that interests you. Start right there and then be open to people poking holes in it, because that's how you get better. I mean, I used to think XRP was legit, right? So, but I had to start somewhere, and I was making money on XRP and Ripple. So I was like, cool, this is great. And then I was open to people poking holes in it, and I was like, damn, you're right. And I sold that shit for a profit. So that was good, But
do your own research is the rule.
It's funny. I always encourage people to, like, if I find myself being bullish on something, I'm always like, hey, I gotta find out what's wrong with this company that I like so much, so that I can be aware in case. So I'm not blindsided, right? If there's like a negative catalyst that comes out, I'll be like, oh, well, I saw that coming. And so you can actually be prepared for stuff like that and use risk management to your advantage, right? I mean, everybody can. It's easy to say, oh, well, Bitcoin, you just keep buying and you just let it sit and forget, what have you. But if like Jaime saw this coming, you can manage risk appropriately. There's no harm in taking a little off the top and then waiting for the dust to settle after the rollover, right? Not to say that you take everything out because you just never know. But if you see something like Bitcoin go up a couple 1,000% or anything, how are you not going to take money off the table?
Right.
And if you're blindsided, though, to that, you may not. And I've seen it time and again. I've seen life-changing money be in paper form because they haven't taken the money out. Unrealized gains, life-changing unrealized gains. And then that individual watches it go all the way back down to the bottom. And it's just like, God damn it. Why didn't you sell at least something?
Yes. FOMO. Yep. That's called FOMO. Your fear of missing out. Thinking
it happens to all of us. It has happened to me before. It will not happen in the same way again. But what you really have to understand, though, is that regardless of crypto and Bitcoin, two things. We're going to say start with Bitcoin. Why? Because it's the hardest form of digital money, and there's so much written on it, and it has been time tested again and again and again as being the king and different. So that's why we always say start there. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin is perfect, though. But the other thing that I want to bring up is not everything about cryptocurrency has to do with a price and making money and just value. That's not the price does not necessarily encapsulate the value of what the coin represents and the problems that it is trying to solve. So you have to try to do a good job of separating the two. Yes, it does have price action where I can make or lose money. That is one aspect of all of this. But there is so much more intrinsically important topics when it comes to cryptocurrency. Why it exists in the first place is the strongest of them all. It is because we continue to print money and bail out banks and other industries that should be allowed to fail But for whatever reason, the deep state, whoever you want to talk about, doesn't let them fail, and why that is a massive problem. That is why Bitcoin was even invented in the first place. So you have to understand that it is a foundation of cut the bullshit financially. That is where it lies. So there's so much to understand from there outside of just market price action.
Tam, you hit it the nail in the head, because
no kidding.
Hell yeah.
She's like, yeah, I know.
We're used to it. Yeah. You're amazing, Tam. Love you, Tam. You're hard hitting, straight up honest. And that's what was written in the first transaction of Bitcoin. It was mentioning the banks being bailed out. Well, that's one of the reasons.
Yes, and I want to keep the conversation going. So to segue, Credit Suisse, their credit defaults swaps were gapping to new highs. Look at the daily chart here from Bloomberg, and you can see that is significantly. I mean, that is crazy. This is a chart that goes all the way back to 2003. You can see, obviously, the 2008 crisis. We saw those default swaps, and this is how high it went just yesterday. Guys. Yeah, overnight.
Overnight, we almost doubled. We did. No, yeah, almost doubled.
Yeah,
the 2008 financial crisis.
And that's what we mean when we say it's not your money. It's not your money, because if you have money in this bank right now that is looking over leveraged, it is looking like it is starting to become insolvent. If you go try to pull this money out, your money,
good luck.
Will not be able to. You will not be able to. And you don't think about it when times are good because everything is great. But when times go to shit, you have no time to get, quote unquote, your money. So you better have some of your value in something that you can always access.
Yes, and transfer out, in and out, without anyone questioning you why you're transferring in and out.
Right.
And yes, Lord, you're right. Bailouts are evil. They take away the free market vote, because literally these should be dying institutions if they made the wrong choices instead of too big to fail. So,
yep. Indo Crypto asks actually a good question as well. It says, do you all think Ethereum became more centralized with this move to POS?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. 100%.
Yes. And
that doesn't mean that it's going to get taken over and monopolize and be bad. But to answer your question directly, yes, it is absolutely more centralized now that it is proof of stake.
And the other mechanism is you need 32 ETH to build a node. So you need quite a bit of capital to do so. So it cuts out quite a few other people. They can stake to participate, but they cannot buy an ASIC for proof of work and start from the ground up to get the same returns.
Right. You basically have to hold quite a large value in ETH to become a decision maker, if you will, a validator, to say that ETH is doing what they say it is doing. That's what validators do. So now at this point, you have to be very ETH rich to make those decisions. And we know what happens when a pool of really rich people get together. It can go bad. Doesn't mean it will. We've seen it before. Odds are it will not happen that way. But to answer your question directly, yes, it absolutely centralizes power.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
good shit, guys.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we get back to Lord Finmer as well, though. We asked him how he handles day trading, and he gave us a comment up there. Yeah.
So he says, when the market's closed, I'm off from 7 to 10:30. I'm all eyes on. After 10:30 a.m., I'm checking in about once an hour. So that's I'm sure setting alerts and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
probably come into play there as well.
We've seen Don Fran with his bells and whistles,
his zones and all that. Yeah,
yeah. I need to get on his ass about that, because he had a boxing ring bell alert go off, and I thought Brad was telling me to shut up because I was in the middle of one of my rants and I heard bells go off. I'm like, why are you telling me to shut up? I just started. It was Don's alerts.
Yeah, he always has his thinker swim open. So then 9:30 comes along, and I hate that bell. I hate that bell from TD Ameritrade. So moving on to the next thing, I have yet to have watched this video. I think I know what it is, but I need you to explain this to me and why we're bringing it up right now. So we're getting ready to watch a video that Jim Cramer, of Jim Cramer from March 11th, 2008. And I want you to explain what we're about to watch and why, Jaime.
Okay. So it has to do with this repo. It has to do with what we're seeing with the bailouts and the timing of it. And Jim is a victim of, I don't know what he is to this in terms, but these are facts. This is what occurred, and this is now look at the date though. It's March 11th, 2008.
Yes.
Bitcoin
So,
white paper. Correct.
Post crash. Yeah.
And this was during that whole too big to fail era. And it was March, April, May, June, July, August, about 5 months, almost 6 months before the Bitcoin white paper was published with the bailout as one of the reasons Bitcoin was designed. So
is this going to be one of those like indicators where every time he says something is great, the market then crashes afterwards? Is this kind of what we're going to be looking at?
We'll let the audience decide that.
Yeah. He might be an unofficial indicator.
Yeah, yes. And there it is right there.
Sure. Oh yeah, there we go. I don't know why I have to click that every single time, but it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's for the audio. Remember that audio problem?
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
So this happened in 2008.
Okay.
Okay. Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. Look, if there's one takeaway other than a plus 400 somewhere, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly. Don't be silly.
This is brutal.
Okay, just so you get a sense of what's causing the agony by this point, I know you've been talking about it. It's financials led by Bear Stearns after what essentially is a bailout from the Fed. Bear Stearns shares are down 90% this morning, and it's not just Bear. Pretty much every single bank is plunging in early trade this morning.
So there you have it. Jim being Jim. I feel bad for Jim Cramer. I really do. Like, he's wrong about a lot, but he's also right about a lot. People don't really give him the credit as far as that's concerned. And now he's just kind of like a meme at this point.
I know.
On all things contrarian. But
now fast forward to
that he actually missed big time. Fast forward to the present here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up another video. You want to explain this one real quick?
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Let me
and while you're pulling that up, it's awesome because you're like, why does this matter? Why are we watching this? Because you laugh now in hindsight. Like we are all kind of giggling when he's saying, don't sell Bear, don't sell Bear. But then we realize how huge of a deal it was when they did go under. Yeah. That is why Bitcoin was invented. So you got to understand it takes that big of a deal for something that actually works to be invented. So just pay attention to that.
And you can imagine so many families and investors at the time were trying to decide, man, I see this gapping of the overnight, interest rates for this specific bank. Should I move it? And then
so now
and then 6 days later, you're out.
Yep. All right. Here's
here again.
Here's some comments here about Credit Suisse right now.
Keep talking about a Lehman moment. I keep thinking you're finally going to be able to get a bank merger. Yeah. And whoever gets Credit Suisse is going to do quite well if you can cordon off those losses, because boy, that is some great franchise.
Is this Jim repeating history right now?
Guys, I mean, in the last 2008, he said, oh, worst case scenario, that someone will take it over. This time it's like, it's a great buy. Whoever buys these guys.
Well, he's also projecting another potential takeover, similar to what you're talking about Bear Stearns.
2008. Yep. Instead of an absolute death.
Right. Like a Lehman Brothers.
Exactly.
So that's the writing on the wall. That's where we have to look at the data, the hard data. That gap that you showed, that chart, is clearly other banks losing faith in Credit Suisse. That's why you charge so much interest. Having lived in third world countries myself and grown up in them, why were they paying such high interest rates? Why were they such good investments at the time? It's because they were high risk. So people would put in there, and of course, George Soros knew how to play that game and kind of yank money before he lost it. And everyone else was holding the bags in these third world countries. Well, now you're seeing it at the bank level. In 2008, Lehman Brothers were the ones with these huge interest rates. Now you see, and then saw 6 days later what it transpired. Meanwhile, talking heads are telling you, don't do it. I mean, say something like, guys, do your homework.
Right.
If you can't sleep at night, do what allows you to sleep at night, instead of, no, leave it all in there, or no, sell it. It's not our responsibility to tell people what to do. Each one should be masters of their own destiny. But for the love of God, learn to read the signs that are out there for yourself and make a decision for yourself.
I just wanted to check in on Credit Suisse. It looks like investors are actually buying into the Jim Cramer way of thinking. Stock's up 6.5% right now, and it actually had a pretty decent day yesterday as well. I don't know, man. If you're a hedge fund manager and you bought yourself some Credit Suisse over the last couple of days, you're either a fucking genius or a big idiot. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
It's high risk. It could be another one of those pump and dumps.
They get bought out, it'll go nuts.
Correct.
Absolutely. If they go the way of Lehman Brothers or what was
Bear Stearns.
Bear Stearns, sorry, yeah. They go Bear Stearns, then this is going to be somebody's losing some jobs and heads will roll.
Are you able to chart Bear Stearns back in 2008?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
I would love to, though.
That'd be very interesting to see what the effect
correlation
was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Dead cat bounce. Put it in the comments. Dead cat bounce, or is this
and look at the volume.
Got some legs. Yeah, there's some crazy volume. Crazy volume coming in. It'll be interesting to see where that goes for sure.
So watch it, guys, and please, whatever decision you make sure it allows you to sleep better at night for you, not for us, not for any talking head ever.
100%.
And if you have questions, make sure you put them in our Discord. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about one of our Discord questions tomorrow regarding Charles Hoskinson and some of his comments. He's the founder of a crypto altcoin called Cardano, otherwise known as ADA. He had some thoughts on Bitcoin and what he sees for Bitcoin's future that's been causing a lot of rumble in that world. Question was asked early this morning, so we want to make sure we do due diligence in watching the video that Hodgkinson put out and then give our thoughts on it. So we will be bringing that up tomorrow, deep diving. So thank you to the user who posted that info for us to talk about in our Discord. And if you have any others, make sure, any other questions, put it in our Discord. If you don't get to it here, you see something later that you're like, man, I wonder what DCTV would say about that. Throw it into our Discord. It's pinned at the top of this, at the top of the chat, and we'll make sure we address it.
Absolutely. And we spoke about it with Tamp and the team before stream. Barra or Barra, depends on where you're from. I don't want to butcher your name. Place that question. So we want to do due diligence and respond to it. So tomorrow we will deep dive into this. We have not forgotten you, and we will not ignore this. And same thing, everyone come in like Tamp said, and let's keep these conversations going. But we will deep dive into these.
All right. Good shit, guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time to do this all over again. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live, and hit that like button if you guys enjoyed today's stream. Birthdays. Actor Alicia Silverstone is 46, which is she's 46, man.
She was a kid when she did Legally Blonde.
I know she was. That just means that's just how old we are.
Our lives are going too quick, guys.
Christoph Waltz, you guys might know him from 007. It's James
Django. Bond.
Yes, he is 66. Chuck Hagel is 76. Dakota Johnson, 33. I did not see that coming. And there was one more here. Oh yeah, Liev Schreiber is 55. Liev Schreiber's 55. I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
And Sin Sage is 39. She was also the star of Buttface 2, Boundary 3, Ants in My Pants, and Not Those Ants, and Cougar Pates. And those are your birthdays for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you watching this Wednesday morning, and we will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, take care, keep calm, and huddle on.
Have a good one, guys. See you
Brad's
tomorrow.
gonna make me go get a